with my furry companions. It's been a minute. I'm sorry about that. Life has been a little busy with a new job, but it's helping, so that's a good thing. And I'm sore as all get out, so I'm trying to just deal with everything physically and doing whatever I can to work smarter and not harder. But, work is work. I am so glad to see people in the public arena talking about things that we have been talking about since the original channel, and that is an encouragement. On Brie and Jen, we had talked about the butterfly effect, and I think there's a video on this channel about it. And it really does seem to be, at least to me, it's been proven. So many things that were so obscure just a few years ago and so few people were talking about, and word just gets around, right? And it just spreads, and that can be good or bad depending on what type of word you're spreading. So I try to be careful using positives and saying, this is how this is. I try to say, this appears this way, seems to be this way, allegedly this is what they're saying. But like anyone else, I have my personal biases that get in the way, but that's what this channel is about, is doing my service to some type of community, whoever is out there listening, feeling alone, maybe not understanding their life or life at this point, who's looking just for answers like we are. And so that leads into a very strange topic, but I'm just going to talk for a minute about cases that we've talked about before, just to kind of set the tone. Please don't mind Sammy. He's loving his peanut butter right now, so I'm not going to begrudge him that. Where was I? So we've talked about the Daybell case. I'll turn the comments on. Hopefully, if anyone's here, everybody can be nice and respectful. I don't know why it does that. How weird. Anyways, we had talked about the Daybell case, and that's probably one of the most popular in recent memory regarding religion and the demonic, the spiritual realm. There's no other way to say that. But if you're talking to people and you're trying to witness nowadays something like lower level sentient beings, lower frequency sentient beings, right? They're aware of what they're doing, and they just don't care. And they have to go by legalities, though, because they are still under the most. Oh no, are we going to have an issue? Did it start over? Should I keep going? Anyways, so the demonic in the headlines. So the Daybell case is one of the most popular in recent history. Another one would be the young man we spoke of down in Florida, who was seeming to be paranoid, staying up all night, saying he had to protect his family. I want to say that happened in like 2016. It happened before I went to Florida. Then around the time, he said his neighbors were witches or something. But when the cops arrived, they said he was, quote unquote, eating someone's face. And I don't know that I agree with that. All the disclaimers are in the description box. This is not a children's channel. And I do go by YouTube's guidelines as much as possible. Because they change daily. But anywhere you look, you will see videos about sensual, sexual topics, half-naked women and men all over. Some naked women and men if you get to the really risque side of YouTube. And then you have the disgusting muck and yuck side. And I won't even mention what I found there one day just by letting YouTube play. It doesn't do that anymore, thanks to some good work by algorithms, but it can happen. Now we have to rely kind of on this oral history that, we're trying to build and put into people's memories, because they're rewriting history as it's happening. And that's, of course, it's discouraging, right? But most people who find this channel, and most of us who come together, we understand that we don't quite fit in. Even before things changed, we weren't the type of people who sought to fit in, I guess you would say. We tried to follow like a certain set of codes or values or morals, and followed. We fell. A lot of us fell really hard. But I think that's why we are seeking truth now and trying to be so diligent and to do a better job and just to be better than we were yesterday and not to be better than anyone else. And I need to make that very clear. I strayed a little bit because I got a little off track when the YouTube thing seemed to restart there. I'm just going to keep going, and if it doesn't post, then I'll just do another one. It's just not that big a deal, right? And another topic we talked about, another demonic spiritual headline, was in regards to the band member, the bass player from Cannibal Corpse. I know I'm familiar with that band because it's one of my husband's favorite bands. And it was around the time I went to Florida, only he was in like the Panhandle and I was on the other side, or he was in the Gulf, vice versa, whatever. His friends and his band members, and of course his neighbors, say that he went crazy. He was paranoid. He thought people were out to get him. He obviously believed in the right to bear arms because they found a lot of that at his home. And he was going on and on, ran over to the neighbor's house from his house about how the fallen were here and the rapture was happening and we were being taken over. And at the same time, there was some spiral in the sky allegedly captured in Florida. All this stuff we've gone over already. These are all headlines, right? So here's another thing that I think is important to address in our current society, to display a couple of things. Apologies, I'm a real person. I don't have soundproofing. I'm just in my bedroom, and that's my dog. And he just ate a bunch of peanut butter, so he's thirsty. Samson, come on now. You done? Yeah, was that good? You got a whole audience, buddy. Yeah. Please stop licking me. That's stop it. You smell like peanut butter. Okay. Another important indicator of what time it is when you see a society will turn, and it's not just people, like you've seen this happens in the animal kingdom, and it's happened with the alleged fall of Rome. I don't think Rome ever fell, but that's another video. With the alleged fall of Rome, or at least the going underground of their society, or some of it, you always have these indicators, right, that are present. And again, I'm not going to list my credentials as to how I know these things. I just do my due diligence. Again, those are other videos. You always have indicators when a society is about to fall, and that is when, and these are just facts, okay? This is factual information. I'm presenting it. I'm not saying it's good, bad, ugly. I might say that, but anyways, you will see, much like you did with frogs, and Alex Jones was talking about the frog experiments, and I don't think people quite gathered the depth of that. You will see a society or a tribe or a culture or an animal species stop procreating. Well, first, they will procreate and you will see birth defects, okay? And then the birth rates will greatly slow down and decrease. And then, I don't know if it's due to loneliness, a comfort issue. I'm not sure why this occurs, but it's in the animal kingdom too. But I do believe God gives us a better mind than the animals, so this isn't supposed to happen with us. But you will see that the animals will start fornicating with animals of their same sex, right? And species, which is the abnorm. That's how you end a culture or a society. That's part of the reason we're seeing what's occurring today, is to end humanity. There are people that hate themselves, and they hate what they are. They hate being human. They think we're a virus. That's what they think. And so, yeah, Now, obviously, my videos are editorial styles. Even Howard Stern used to use his own life experience and family in the videos. That's why I try to refrain from names, but I can only speak from my personal experience, and I go to other people to seek out, information that I'm missing and my own blind spots, right, in the spectrum of life, in this light spectrum. Think of us as being inside of a diamond. I mean, that's kind of what the firmament does, is it reflects and refracts lights. And we see things differently than they actually are. Now, if we were on the other side of that, we would probably see the workings of God and nature a little differently. They wouldn't seem as chaotic. And we know that God brings order out of chaos. That's what God does. So when you're listening to people on YouTube, you have to be very careful of the words that they are using and catchphrases that can get into your own verbiage as well, okay? Bringing order out of chaos, that's a thing that the Bible talks about that God does. These are little hints. When you see people going directly against natural law, right? You know that this society is at its endpoint, that culture is going through its extinction level event. Now, whether that occurs wholeheartedly within like that internally or not, I suppose, again, it depends on if you have the perfect storm or not, which we seem to be seeing happening now. That's what the screens are showing us. Is life really like that out there? People are so caught up in their own daily lives that most of us probably have a distorted or augmented reality at this point. We're no longer sharing a collective vision. That's also a problem. The other thing you see with that, when birth rates decrease, is you will see people end their own kin. And again, I'm being discreet for a number of reasons. The views that I speak of don't necessarily reflect those of YouTube or Google, and they are the same thing. They are the same entity. They are part of the same beast. But these things need talking about, so let's look at something real quick. The most famous one of my time was Susan Smith. Now, again, what we do on this channel is we read between the headlines, and we want to know what's not being said. And now we are seeing an uptick and an increase in these types of incidents and tragedies and cases occur. Number one, try not to get too emotionally invested. Some of these stories are just being put out to basically give your subconscious a subliminal message. And when you are ready for that to activate or hit just the right way, it will happen. That's what they talk about in scripture with planting seeds, right? Or in advertising with repetition. There are certain things that are being put out there to help us see what's actually happening. But in order for them to be allowed to continue doing that, they cannot be ended, right? So they have to be sneaky, just as tactful, I guess, and discreet as the enemy. And so that's what I try to help you do, is to see what's going on. Really. So let's take a look at this. I picked this one because it was specifically the wording that she says something in an interview, because she was caught, that I think we need to pay attention to. Now, please, I will preface this by saying I'm a pacifist. I don't endorse nor promote violence in any way, shape, or form. I do believe in other people's right to bear arms. I don't personally ascribe to that. I do not consent to those weapons being in my home or any dwelling place where I live. It's not how I want to walk this out. And it's important to my walk, but I don't judge anyone else who drives just because I don't drive. I get rides in cars. That doesn't mean I think they're wicked. I just personally know that's not something for me. So I try to respect other people's beliefs, and there is a point to this. And that's what everybody's saying, all these things are bad. There's a point, man, to standing firm in truth and your values and your faith and what you believe in. But you want to be allowed to do that, so you need to allow other people to do the same, as long as they're not doing any harm to other people. Okay? So let's look at this, because she says something very interesting. Now, again, I don't promote violence of any kind, and we need to think about this. Christ never once ended somebody who was demonically afflicted. He did not do that, all right? And I will go so far as to say I think people are more demonically affected today because of the psychiatry industry and because of the laxness on the church's part, and I mean all churches, who should be looking out for people's spirituality, all gurus, all spiritual leaders. They're going to have a mess of crap to answer for with the state of things right now. And this is why you're seeing all of them being exposed. I did a video 3 years ago now, and it was called The Season of Exposure. God had told me this was coming. Let's carry on. This mother was captured after 2 years on the for the ending of a boy found in a suitcase in Indiana. Dwayne Ludi Anderson is accused of ending 5-year-old Cairo Jordan in April 2022, believing the boy was possessed by demons. Sellersburg, Indiana. Indiana State Police announced the arrest of, now if I mispronounce this, I do apologize, Dwayne Ludi Anderson in the murder of her son, whose body was found stuffed in a suitcase in Washington County, Indiana. Earlier this week, detectives received information that helped in locating Anderson in Arcadia, California on March 14th. She was caught while trying to board public transportation without incident, Indiana State Police Sergeant Carrie Hose said. The arrest was on a warrant issued out of Washington County, Indiana for murder, neglect of a dependent, and obstruction of justice. Now, is he her son? Or I'm not sure, like, they're not saying that, so I don't know. She's being held at Los Angeles Police Department detention site. Indiana State Police detectives are on their way to California to continue the investigation. It is not yet clear when she will be returned to Indiana to face charges. Now, I'm not certain. I think she's the mother. I'm not sure why they haven't said it yet. But there's something really wrong with the natural order of things when you see women ending babies. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have it in us. Like St. Judith, read her story if you don't know it. She's one of my heroes. When you see women especially going to these lengths, you know that something is going on. And this has been happening and increasing for at least the last 10 years. I've been aware of it. But like I said, Susan Smith, when we were younger, you've had this all throughout history. But you will have periods of calm and peace and tranquility for some reason after things go haywire and people have been ended and the bloodlust has led to bloodshed. Some people think that is because some pagans, old pagans like the Mayans, believed that that needed to happen, that that was a part of the societal order, and that you had to have a sacrifice for bad behavior, transgression against nature and man and animal. As a Christian society, we are supposed to understand that Christ was the last sacrifice. We should be at a spiritual evolutionary point now as to where we should be aware enough to say, okay, you're made in the image of God. I'm made in the image of God. Let's respect that as much as we possibly can. And if you can't get along, then leave each other the heck alone. It's really not that hard. I don't know. I don't know. Anderson is accused of ending 5-year-old Cairo in April 2022 in Louisville. She and her friend, Dawn Coleman, then drove into Indiana to dispose of him. A mushroom hunter later discovered the suitcase and the boy. According to court documents, police used tech to pull fingerprints from trash bags the boys was found in along with the suitcase. The documents claim the fingerprints came back a match to Anderson. Since that day, detectives have worked tirelessly to bring justice to this case and justice to Cairo. We knew this day would come. You packaged him like trash. Woman sentenced to 30 years for helping end 5-year-old. Okay, so Child endangerment, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to skip down here. I need to know if this is her son. Coleman was in the car with her, and police said Anderson told them Coleman was her sister. They also learned just about 2 weeks before he was found, Anderson was arrested in Louisville for shoplifting and assault. That incident happened March 1st, 2022. Court documents allege Anderson's Facebook page had photos of Cairo, and the images matched the autopsy photos of the boy. She also allegedly posted about needing to do an exorcism on her son. They finally say son, to remove a very powerful demonic force. She also allegedly made a post about telling her story in a book or podcast about living with a demonic child. What do you say to that? What do you say to that? Because I know with the younger generation and people with less experience will say how shameful of her to say that. And I'm not talking about the ending of him. Obviously, that is shameful. But are her beliefs not warranted? And I'm just posing the question. It is quite literally generations of vipers, and I'm not excluding myself. Okay, we've got Generation X, Y, Z, Alphas, Millennials. And it just seems like with each generation it gets worse and worse. And I wouldn't think it's supposed to be that way for mankind. I would think our spirits and our spiritual, like I said, our evolution, and from going through so much and seeing so many horrors, I don't know, for me that evokes more compassion. But for some people, and I know this to be true for myself too, because I've been on both sides of this fence. For a long time, I was totally desensitized. I was blind by my own, I had to shut down, right? It's a survival thing. And they say God blinds you and makes you reprobate. I mean, that's perspective. We can argue about that later on or all day long. But it does happen. For some reason, your conscience will shut down. And for me, it was about getting from one day to the next to the next. And again, there are people who have it physically a lot worse than I have had it. For me, it's been seeing other people suffering and then suffering mentally and spiritually and even financially, because that will cause poverty or days where you go hungry, or you know what I mean, how all this kind of goes hand in hand. But let's put aside for a moment again, and like I said, don't become too emotionally invested, because what we're looking at here, these are headlines to us. We have to separate it. Yes, we have compassion, but technically these people are not real to us. They're not in our lives. We can still extend sympathy, empathy, and compassion. But what can we learn from this? What's the takeaway, right? Is what she's saying there wrong? She made a podcast or a post about telling her story in a book or podcast about living with a demonic child. Now, this child, mind you, is only 5. A lot of people disagree with the thought of original sin. But I will say that from my own experience and from seeing others go through things, baptism as a child is a good thing until you're a consenting adult and you can decide if you want full immersion or whatever. But the ritual itself is symbolic, and those people are committing themselves to watching over that child for the remainder of that child's life. I did not do that for my children, and I see the difference in them and myself. Now people will say, well, you've done worse things than your children. My children are younger than me. And that's on the surface. We don't know what they do when they leave our presence. We can only give them the tools that they need, that we hope they'll need. And yes, I've this is part of my penance and repentance, is to talk openly about these things with folks and tell them sometimes it's not either or. Sometimes you have to make another option, create another option for yourself. And that's what I'm trying to do through my life, instead of going through another door, I'm trying to just like break down a wall, if you will. Sometimes we need to make our own options if the ones that are presented to us are folly. Or if we're choosing, the better of two evils. That's not a choice. It's not a choice. Don't do that. Again, we're being deceived into thinking that, well, you have no choice. Well, I have to do this. No, really, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. Well, I want to be a good citizen. Yeah, that's part of the indoctrination. I want to be a good citizen too, but I want to be a good human first. So we need to understand that there are people suffering in our communities. What can we do? What is the takeaway from this story? Let's continue because this gets wild. It gets a little weird. Days later, Anderson and Coleman's phones were pinged in Pekin, Indiana, not far from where Cairo's body was found. Additionally, surveillance video from a property owner shows Anderson's car stop on the road where the suitcase was found. Police said Coleman's Facebook page showed her with the same suitcase that the boys' remains were found in. And I'm not sure what's up with the light, like why she's taking pictures like that. That's strange, like, to me. Like, I'm not sure what they're circling there. Oh, da, da, da. In the background of the images, a woman arrested in connection with it. In the background, there's a Las Vegas suitcase. So that's what they're showing in the circles. But why she's doing that with the light, I don't know, and it irritates me. So we're going to scroll down. Mom wanted for son's ending was contacted an exorcist days before his remains were found in southern Indiana. Again, let me be very clear. You have people suffering. They are going to extremes because everyone is failing them. If she went to a psychiatrist and talked about this with them, they would say that there's something wrong with her, and they would overlook the boy entirely because he's just a child. They would do the same thing if it was elderly. Think back to how the enemy operates. Let me put you in that mindset real quick. Think of how the enemy operates in fairy tales and all these different things that we see. I'm just making sure it's still recording because it pinged earlier. Fairy tales, witches, they're always old women, right? Old hags. Snow White, it was an old hag. Now she can deceive you, right? But their spirit shines through on the outside. But what would you do if you were the enemy and you were coming and bringing some of your demons to earth? We're seeing life as a story here, just like Peterson shared in his most recent lecture that I shared on my page. I don't agree with all the things the man says. I think they're turning his PR people are turning him into kind of like a caricature. He was on the carnivore diet, which I kind of almost wholeheartedly disagree with going to that extreme as well. I don't think it does anything good for I think that's why he was crying all the time, to be honest. I think he was taking in the animals' emotions, which actually, if he knew that would happen, that's very deceptive too. Anyways, he has a lot of good things to say, so we don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater, and I'm not going to judge his walk with God. That's not my business. I pray for him like I pray for most other people today, and I just kind of say, help everyone, because I am at a loss. I pray that all of you are blessed, all of your families are blessed. I pray that your dwelling places are covered and under God's habitation, and that you are all blessed with abundance. So just so you know, like, I'm not lying about that when I say that. That's what I hope for. Does it seem like that's what's going to happen anytime soon? I don't know. But anyways, if you were going to bring a bunch of your demons, right, into the story, and you wanted to deceive a bunch of Hansels and Gretels. Think of Hansel and Gretel as God's children walking through life in their journey. And the witch is Satan, obviously. And he wants to gobble up their bodies and souls, right? How would you deceive them? Well, with an old woman. Grammy gives you cookies. Grammy gives you hugs, right? What's another way? How would you deceive the majority of people, because they can make you think all day long that children are the majority, and they're not. Neither are old people. It's us. It's this middle of the ocean type deal we're in. We are the majority, a rather silent majority. That's why they pay us no mind, because they know that we have a lot of power. So they try, because power in numbers, I mean, they try to manipulate us through our children and through our parents. But if you were going to be the enemy and you were going to make a bunch of lookalikes or get inside a bunch of, if you wanted to put God's children astray, you would want to be inside of an image or an icon, a symbol that they value. So as old people, you could mislead them and lead them astray. And as children, you get let into the house. Why do you think the black-eyed things come as children? Because somebody's going to be foolish enough to let those things in. Like I was. Only it wasn't presented to me like that. That's why I would, again, these choices that you have, they mix them all up. And they get you to say yes, and you don't know what you're saying yes to. Be very, very careful and cautious. But remember also that you can always change your mind. You can do self-correction and adjust that path that you're on. And that's how you make another choice. So this woman, you have people who are going to their spiritual leaders. You have people going to the police authorities. You have people going to psychiatrists. And instead of listening to them, you're looking at them as if they are the one who is the problem, instead of helping them with the thing that is outside of them that is the problem. And they're coming, if somebody is aware enough to ask for help, and they know that something is going on that's abusive or wrong, and they go to someone that they're told is an authority figure that they can trust, if they're aware enough to go to the police, do you really think they'd come to you if they were the guilty one? I mean, it really seems like critical thinking and common sense is out the window. And the laws that we have today, the laws of man, are here to protect God's children. Because that's the only thing they fear. I asked somebody once, there was a news story on, and I said something like, would you ever do that to me? Would you ever end me? And they said, no, I don't want to go to jail. What's wrong with that sentence? Why don't you tell me what's wrong with that sentence? If you don't know what's wrong with that sentence, you need to examine your own conscience now. Stop listening to this video and go do some self-examination. If jail is the only thing keeping people from their murderous intents, and let me tell you, and I've told you this for a long time, but since that NDE, since I came back to God, the cleaner that I try to get with my walk, and the more I talk to God, the more I'm able to see certain things. There's a lot of people around us who have murderous intents, and the only thing that's keeping them from doing that is prison on this earth, because they think this is the only life that there is. And I heard somebody, a Gnostic, explaining that in the reverse the other day. They said, well, they think there's a life after this, so they don't care what they do in this life. That's not true at all. That's not it. That's exactly why you should care what you do in this life, because all of your decisions don't end when you die.
And we have to get to more breaking news. Indiana State.
No, I did not press play on that. So, let's go down. I want you to see what she says. Okay, they found her car, found the suitcase, found the boy. Documents say Coleman told investigators she walked into a bedroom of the trio's Louisville home. Hold on. Okay, so I guess they all live together. Again, you have people out there claiming that they can be of help too, and they're not of help. I'm trying not to tell you like my opinion of who is good or wicked in this story. The point is, what is your takeaway? Documents say Coleman told investigators she walked into a bedroom of the trio's Louisville home and found Anderson on top of Cairo. The boy was face down on the mattress, and court documents claim Coleman told investigators it was already done. Now, mind you, she went to help before this. She went to an exorcist for help. I went to a psychiatrist. Then I went to the police. Or no, first I went to churches. All throughout. No one even offered to come bless my home. No one offered to do a sit down with me at my home. No one wanted to see the family dynamic at play. No one. It was just all decided that I had a problem. They know what they're doing. And that's what makes this even worse, is a lot of these people know what they're doing. But let's continue. Coleman said she helped Anderson put him into the suitcase, blah, blah, blah. I really don't want to dwell on that because it's sad. Oh, across the Ohio River. Gee, thanks for that. Well, she was able to go over a river, so she's not a witch, because apparently waterways stop witches. I wasn't aware of that. My mother-in-law hates bridges. I don't think she really goes over them. She wonders why I have issues with her. She told my son she didn't like them because people jump off of them and end themselves. Mind you, my sons were like 3 and 5 at the time. There's something wrong with people. A whole lot of people. I'm not exempt. I've got issues myself. We all do. But I mean, this is serious degradation of the human spirit. So you got to hear what she says. Okay, so this is about the legalities, and I personally don't even care what goes on there. Oh my gosh, where is it?
Food for work has to work. That's why there's Easy Cater. With easy online ordering plus 24/7 live support from catering experts.
Sorry about that. Where is it? Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Oh, where is it? Hold, please. There's something very specific I'm looking for that she says, and I might need to look up another interview because it's very important, and it's why I pulled this specific article. And then I'll show you the headlines and how many are in the headlines about this issue. Okay, so Anderson, Cairo Jordan's mother. Show it to me. I'm looking for a specific quote, and I just want to see if I can find it. Is this the same? The grandmother says that she and her son, Kyra's father, wanted to see the child more, but she kept him away, allegedly. That'll get rid of the ads, I think. She was shocked to learn that he had passed. That's something you never expect with your grandchildren. Okay, this is when that she was on the run. Is known to travel and has recently been to San Fran. Oh, come on, man. Hold, please. I'm sorry, guys, but it's very important that you see this, and this is kind of how this works. And this way you also know that I'm not just lying. Okay. The boy died from an electrolyte imbalance due to dehydration. A demon who needed to be killed or exorcised. In an affidavit they filed to decline psychiatric evaluation, Anderson informed the court that she declined Parker's exam on May and she chose to remain silent. I'm appalled. Oh my gosh. I'm appalled by the unethical treatment I have experienced within this jail. It's mind-blowing to be a healer and high priestess receiving visions of the trauma and negativity that fill this place, as I have to, forced to interact with unethical, unintelligent life forms of humanity. Oy vey. Anderson claims to have been placed under MK Ultra mind control while at the jail, and chemicals have been placed in her food, and other hazardous materials were placed in air vents to irritate her. She claims that the court sounds like a lot of stuff that TIs say. This is why I say a lot of it is spiritual, I believe. She claims, but I don't, like, if you have a bunch of prisoners in a jail, I don't doubt that they are given things to maintain their copacetic nature. Let me just say it that way. If you haven't seen Homecoming with Julia Roberts on a Prime, that delves into that topic a bit. She discusses spirituality and her worldviews, claiming that Salem, Indiana is being controlled by unethical humanity. Anderson has also filed a motion requesting the U.S. Supreme Court dismiss her case. Gross negligence in reporting her duties, blah, blah, blah. Okay. There's a specific quote I'm looking for. Like, where are they getting all this? She must have, like, interviewed. I don't know. This is wild that she's so vocal. Okay, so we're going to skip what we've already read, and I'm just going to briefly look for this so I can try and find it. He was a really happy baby. Blah, blah, blah. Mushroom hunter. That's wild that that's who found. One post reading, I can't wait to tell this story about that exorcism. I had to raise my frequency, heal myself, and past lives to exorcise a very powerful demonic force within my son. Well, first, let's just say that this woman, I don't even know what to address first. Like, I really don't. First of all, she's not giving God the glory, right? So she is full of pride, which is dangerous in and of itself. But she says something that is very helpful. And if I could find, I don't even want to know what that was. If I could find the quote. Denies bond, good. 85 years is what I think she was actually. She made wild claims in court, which raised doubts whether she can stand the trial, beginning with her name. And here we go again. My name is Princess Calfia Atonte Pape II, representing the entity Dewan Anderson. Again, these people, they make them sound like lunatics, but there is a reason people are doing this left and right in the jail system. And again, it has everything to do with your birth certificate and consent. Sure, I operate as Jennifer something or other, but that's not who I am, right? You got to get used to, like, and again, just let your yes be yes and your no be no, right? But I wouldn't trust any public defenders at this point. Oh, she objects. The basis of my objection is that I'm not a fugitive. I've been under National Security Agency surveillance for 8 months. How does that qualify me as a fugitive? When I've also had a detail from the U.S. Space Force that was following my every move. See, and again, they want to make people who do talk about these things look like they're totally insane. This is why you have to address these topics very, very carefully. In my case, it's not such an oddity because I hurt somebody that has a lot of friends. And so they're being very immature about the whole thing. Now, does it go beyond that? Yeah, I think it does. And I've shown a lot of proof for my issues too, though. All right, that's not a valid objection. If you want to represent yourself, you're going to have to learn the rules of evidence and the rules of procedure, because if you conduct yourself like this and make these kinds of objections, you have no chance in the world, lady. Her trial is set for August, blah, blah, blah. Justice will be served. Okay, so she says we need to stop being deceived by the way people present themselves physically in this world, because just because something looks like a child doesn't mean that they are a child, is basically what she says. I don't know if I can find that, darn. See, in Reddit always assumes that people are guilty even before their trials, which is telling in and of itself. Reddit's nothing but propaganda, young ones, and I'm just being honest about that. Yeah, how was she, and if we are so much under surveillance, how was she not, like, caught? You know what I mean? And I'm saying that for a reason, because we're not, they want chaos. Like, that's what they want. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. All three of those things. They want destruction. They want bloodshed. They want death. That is what they aim for. That is what their goal is in all this. Okay? The downfall of that is that they are inside or influencing, let's say, influencing our loved ones. And they are especially influential to people who are influential, like our presidents, which are just figureheads anyway. Demons run all of them. And the fact that a lot of our presidents have literally been actors prior to being presidents should be very, very telling to people. Okay? Again, I think the people that are represented on the screens are proxies for the real individuals living in life. That's their virtual reality right now. And I know that sounds strange to say, and I know not everyone understands what I mean by that. But again, if you're wealthy, like uber wealthy, you wouldn't want everybody knowing what you look like, what your kids look like. You wouldn't want that hassle. And you wouldn't want followed by, like, Secret Service all the time. And it's too dangerous. So no one reported him missing. Wow. Okay, so there's that. They didn't know who he was at first. They're acquaintances who traveled together and possibly worked together. So that's no definite connection other than them being acquaintances or friends. Yeah, I didn't think they... Okay. Multiple states and a mystery. That's where she's talking about demons. 4 days before his remains were found, she wrote on Facebook that her 5-year-old son was actually a 100-year-old demon. I have survived the you-know-what attacks from my 5-year-old throughout the 5 years he has been alive. I have been able to weaken his powers through our blood. I have his real name, and he is 100 years old. Need assistance. See, the name is important. You have to know the name. One day before his body was discovered, she made another chilling post that read in part, "This is a whole demon in a child body." Wow. The concerning post began as far back as December 2021 when she wrote, "I offer reversal spell, protection spell, activating your DNA, exorcism, hexes and curses." And this, my friends, is why you need legitimate anointings, and this is why a hierarchy is important. You have to have this causes an imbalance of power. There has to be someone to answer to. For everybody. We all have to have somebody to answer to in some way, shape, or form. We're supposed to be answering to each other. We're supposed to be keep close enough to our loved ones that we're able to keep each other in check through love, because we love each other. But we're all self-involved now. Nobody wants to gather. Nobody wants to hang out. These things, nobody wants to do them anymore. Like, it's not... And I can't blame people. I mean, seeing certain things when I go out and about, I don't get it. I don't like, our whole society has been taken over by depravity. Everywhere you look. Like, if I don't know that I would have children now. I really don't. And I'm not trying to be anti-life. If I had children, I'd probably, there would be no screens in the house. None. Not a TV, not an iPad, not a cell phone, none of it. I might have a flip phone, but I'd probably go back to a landline, to be perfectly honest. That's what I would do if I had children. I would not want them out there seeing all this. And Bird Box is actually a really good visual symbolism for that. For her going through the whole movie with the children's eyes covered. Like, what else are you going to do in this day and age? Because nobody's keeping each other in these checks and balance. So the affidavit reveals that her alleged accomplice also made several posts about children being avatars and warning that evil and wicked is hiding in plain sight. I actually agree with that. I don't agree with ending anybody. I don't think we have to do that. I don't know, because there were even biblical times, but I know it's not for me. I know I'm not promoting it. I know I'm not encouraging it. Exorcisms, like, there's other ways to get people help, right? And I would say probably having a psychiatrist with a solid Christian foundation, or at least someone who has dealt with a priest before, or a pastor, and then getting those people working together for the good of the family unit as a whole. Because when things like this are going on, it's a family problem, not just an individual problem. And when a family has a problem in the community, that's a communal problem, not just a family problem. This is why we need each other so desperately. This is why we shouldn't be yelling at each other, "You're going to Hades," and this, that, and the other. That's not really our... I mean, we're supposed to let people know that it's there and that you could go there, and we encourage a choice to go the other way. But I don't even know where I'm going. I'm still figuring out my salvation with fear and trembling. So again, I don't promote this. But I do believe there's truth here. Okay? And I do believe a lot of people that look like people have been taken over. And after this, I'm going to go back to something for a moment and show you how this is working together. So you better check to see if the children that you think are children actually have souls, or if they're not malevolent beings with a soul. Actually have souls. Or if they're not malevolent beings without a soul, I think is what that's supposed to say. Unfortunately, I can also relate to feeling that way. But again, my children are adults now. Never once did I end any of them. But you've seen this throughout with The Omen and with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood with The Good Son. We know, I mean, if you're honest with yourself about when you were a child, I did some wicked things when I was little. I don't know if it was out of curiosity. I can't even tell you why I did most of the things I did. Praise God, for my grandmother taking my butt to church and making me learn the 10 Commandments, and the law of God. Because you need that at first, because you're not going to, this is why we have the rule of law here, because for some people, they don't think there is an afterlife, so they don't really care how they behave. And then you have other people that their only fear is being locked up in this life. It's not because they believe life is sacred or there's a sanctity to it. All right? But again, in these times, everything is different. Everything. So then she talks about she is representing the entity of DeJuan Anderson, which, again, I don't disagree with. I cannot say that I disagree with what she's saying there. I would probably represent myself as well. And of course, they're going to make everything, even if some of these things aren't true, they're going to say they're true. For some reason, none of this looks natural to me, and I don't know what it is about this picture of this woman, but there's something wrong with it, and I don't know what it is. I don't know why it bothers me. So I'm going to go and show you something else. He is handsome for a little baby. He's got a little handsome picture. Alright, so I want to show you something else real quick. If I can. Okay. What do they call it? I can't even remember what it's called. Oh my gosh, it's a book. Are you serious? Okay. I found it very telling as well. People are listening to us that we don't know are listening. I find it very telling that this has come out after I did the video about like Jessica Simpson, Dolly Parton, Sharon Osbourne, about how Madonna, how their faces don't quite look right. And I don't think it all can be ascribed to plastic surgery. How could all these different women of different ages and different walks of life at the same time start looking so bizarre? And again, I don't know if it's AI. I think some of it obviously probably is, but I've seen some of these things in person too. But it's very telling that they come out with this after what's going on, that this word, trending words, right? I find it fascinating after we talked about this on the channel. Not shortly after, I think it was a month, because we looked up the dates, didn't we? It was a month after I did the live stream that this was a thing, right? Now I want you to see something else. We're just going to do a quick search, and this is how when I see certain things like clicking, I will do a search on just that word to see how many times that word comes up in a song, in a video, in a link. And then sometimes I'll put that word with another word. And because we're on this topic, let's see how prevalent this is right now. Now, that is that person's name, and that's unfortunate. I'm sure they say it like Damon or something, I hope. But that's very unfortunate that that's his name. And so somebody's going to be charged in that. It's ruled as a homicide. I don't know what this is. Let's take a quick peek. Demon in the Dark, the perplexing unsolved ending of David Denogian. My gosh, he's got a dog, of course. Teacher and track coach David Denogian was apparently beloved by all. A fact makes his slaying last year among the city's most perplexing unsolved crime. Around 6 on Black Friday, November 25th, 2022, David Denogian decided to take their dog Evie, isn't that ironic, Evie, on a quick walk before heading over to a local game store for a night of playing Magic the Gathering. Oh my gosh, do you see all the occultic references just in the first chapter of this article? Do you think it's a real story? Or is it telling us something? He remembers the evening vividly and always will. He was a bit of a nerd that way. Video games, manga, anime. Yeah. The Camelback High School teacher and track coach loved them all. That's telling too. I'm sorry, but the adults that like anime and the adults that like the teen books, we've got to have a talk, man. We got to talk. He was a 6'4", 280-pound kid, the way Barajas describes him, because of his size and might, and because their neighborhood, located near 12th Street and Bethany Home Road in north central Phoenix, was generally quiet. Barajas didn't give his John a second thought. Our block is from here to Maryland Avenue. It's a 20-minute walk total. I was laying on the couch and I was like, okay, bye. It was super normal for him to go do that walk. That sounds weird too. Hey, Justin, come back. It doesn't look like a real smile, poor dude. Denogian did not return because he was brutally ended not long after he left. A short, blurry video, blah, blah, blah. North on either by side. As they walk past a bar, a shadowy figure runs quickly past them, turns, and aims a handgun at Denogian's chest. That's when the clip stops. Wow, that's weird. So they've got like a silent witness who got a video. Wow, a city that's averaged 180 murders a year over the past 5 years. He was not robbed. It happened in a public place and security cameras watching. Okay, so that's actually going to be one of our next videos. Is why are so many people ending themselves or being ended on camera? Why is that happening? I'm so curious about that. And I know curiosity isn't always a good thing, so I'm trying to temper my curiosity these days. It's like they've got quotas to meet. It's literally like Team Evil, Team Wicked and Nefarious has a quota that they have to make. And they're doing the cullings state by state in different states every year for the last, since 2018, when I saw that post about the culling in Florida. I mean, they're very open about it. But you have to be, you can't. That's why I look at news from a different variety of different areas. And I'm sub to people in different areas than my own. Because I want to know if this is a nationwide thing that's happening. And I swear that's what it is. It's like they've all got this quota. Because they always give the numbers. Do you ever notice that? About how many people are ended or pass away? I mean, I understand that maybe people want to know that. Just to put things on scale for them. Like if an earthquake happens or something like that, or a tsunami, it kind of brings that fact home. But they're very specific with their numbers. There's a reason for that. There goes my right ear ringing. That usually is a yes. Demon of addiction. So they're just referring to addiction to fentanyl as a demon. Hey, man, addiction is, and that's generational curses, is like alcoholism and things like that. And you could say it's a demon. I don't personally care. I don't care what words you use. I'm just trying to reach you and let you know these are problems. And if we keep putting band-aids on them, surface level band-aids, we're going to just have a bunch of infections in the long run. A bunch of dirt under the carpet that we keep putting there, right? Eventually, Demon Parish murder suspect arrested at North Augusta, which is weird. Demon and Augusta, those are both Catholic. It's a Catholic saint and a Catholic term, kind of. Okay, so here's one. Major update in Demon Girlfriends ending. This is April 12th, 2024. Pretty recent, right? A man who ended his GF to, you know what, has had his 20-year jail term for her murder overturned. No kidding. They look like actors. They really do, and I can't think of who. A man who ended his teenage GF was in a drug-induced psychosis, believing she was a demon. Has had his jail sentence overturned after a court found he was experiencing an episode of schizophrenic illness at the time. It's also important to know about the enemy and narcissistic abusers, sadists in general, that they will often accuse you of what they themselves are doing. They will say that you are what they are. It's projection and it's mirroring, and it's so underhanded and it's very juvenile, but it hurts. It really does hurt when it happens, if you still have, a conscience. And that is something to keep in mind when reading these as well. Is the villain really the villain? Is the good guy really the good guy? I can't tell you that. You need to grow your discernment like I'm trying to do with mine. Jordan Brody Miller was sentenced to a non-parole period of 13 years for the ending of Emerald. There's that green color coming up again. 18 in Medford in the NSW Hunter region. Where is this? Where are we talking about? Hunter region of where? Is it North Carolina? Did I read that already? Okay. Oh, here we go. Were caused by drug use, including consumption of the drug Mary Jane and LSD. His use included the consumption of LSD 11 days before her ending. The court was told he rang triple O after strangling. Okay, so what is triple O? What area is that in? That's like their version of 911. After strangling Miss Wardle, telling them he had killed a demon that was sucking the life out of him. Been there. Miller did not deny ending her, but claimed he was experiencing the onset of an undiagnosed mental illness. So which one is the demon? I don't know. On Friday, the NSW North something Wales? North-South Wales? That don't make sense. You can't be north and south at the same time. I'm not sure. I don't live there. If anyone knows, you could feel free to let us know. He experienced a miscarriage of justice because of fresh evidence. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia after the trial and was experiencing ongoing symptoms. The panel of judges found he did end her, but declared him not criminally responsible. They ordered his case to be referred to the Mental Health Review Tribunal. In their judgment, the Court of Appeal accepted new evidence. See, he thinks he'll get off easier for that, but watch things change. You watch what's going to end up happening. And those places, asylums, are much worse, can be much worse than prison. Acute and prolonged episode of psychosis. Why did he think I want to know why he thought this about her, though. She looks like baby Rexa. Potentially exacerbated by the use of substances. And I really hate that they're trying to label everyone with this. Some people just see in the spirit. Some people are just able to see that, to see what they are. Miss Wardle was a demon. The loss of Emerald Wardle has caused enormous pain to her family from which they will never recover. Oh my God, during his trial, the court was told he had become increasingly detached from reality at the time, believing he was in a matrix and the only way to escape was either taking his own life or hers. I remember getting the call to see her and identify her. The day changed her forever and broke her. I will never be the same again. Trusted a monster. She would never get to live out her hopes and dreams. Oh my gosh, dude, these are things that I've said before. Like, I swear, it feels like this is such a surreal experience. Is any of this real? What is happening? How the story of Theodore Durant, what is this one about? Ending in the Belfry, how the story of Theodore Durant captivated Victoria in San Francisco. Why did this come up with a search for demons? Who knew him? Oh, they called him the Demon of the Belfry. Interesting. 1895. That is wild. What was it about these murders that possessed this city, and how did such an infamous case virtually disappear? If you try to find a Emmanuel Baptist church these days, you'll be out of luck as the building was torn down. Now only an apartment building between the 22nd and 23rd Streets. Wow, we're going to have to look into that sometime. That's cool. I like the Victorian. I don't know why I said it's cool. I mean, we all seem to have some fascination with mysteries and finding them. Okay. Charged in Long Island serial killer. They like to use this word a lot, don't they? A demon that walks amongst us, charged in Long Island serial killings. Wow. Mostly young women, 11 bodies. Predator that ruined families. Why did he do it, though? The Go-Go 4. Why did he do it, though? It seems to be a big thing going after prostitutes and homeless people that most people think nobody will miss. And again, you have to ask yourself, is there some type of quota that these people need to meet to keep the masters happy? Oh, here's another one. She had demons. Gwinnett County woman charged with child's ending. Believed the girl was possessed. What do all these people have in common? This one is in Georgia. This one is in February 2024. In court, the lead detective in the case told the judge that the girl's parents believed the child was possessed by demons. She had demons due to being born out of wedlock. No kidding. Mine were too. Detective Angela Carter with the Gwinnett County Police Homicide Unit told the court during a preliminary hearing on Friday. I wish I could convince my kids to get baptized now. I just don't even. They don't want nothing to do with me because I go to church now. And for other reasons, obviously. Natalie Boris was charged in the ending of her stepdaughter. Said she went too far. At least she admits that. She said she went too far. According to Gwinnett County Police, after Barrows beat her inside their home, Bethlehem. They live in Bethlehem. Isn't that interesting? She called her husband. She had struck her between 10 and 20 times with a kitchen rolling pin. Like a dang cartoon. Are you kidding me? Carter testified that Clitter Barrows told Natalia Barrows to pray and that he was on his way back home. When he arrived, she was already ended. Attorney pushed back and argued that her client previously told his wife to stop hurting her. Him telling her no more corporal punishment. That means physical. Find that there is sufficient evidence on a probable cause standard. Blah, blah, blah. Wow, are you kidding me? You're not going to tell us the rest of the story? Like, that's all we get to know about that one? All right. Wow, another one. Church of the Almighty God. What is China's demon-killing cult? China executes father and daughter from banned evangelical cult for brutal McDonald's ending. Okay, so the courts decided for court. Okay, so 2 members of the Church of the Almighty God, a banned cult in China, have been ended for their role in the murder of a woman in McDonald's last year. Father and daughter Zhang Lidong, I will not say these right, Zhang Fan, maybe I will, were put to end yesterday for the brutal attack. 5 members of the cult went on trial in August accused of the public murder of a woman in the fast food restaurant in May. The group beat her in Shandong province after she turned down their request to convert. One of her endings reportedly told police, "She was a demon. We had to destroy her." Oh my gosh. This is all going to fill an agenda anyway that they're trying to get across right now in saying that religion is dangerous. Oy vey. You know what's dangerous? Men with murderous intent of wanting to end everyone who's not like them. That's what's murderous right now. Holy wars. Let people worship in their own way. And if they don't want to convert, they don't want to convert. Can't be end. I just don't understand all this. Okay, so the sect is illegal in China, and officials have called it a social cancer and a plague on humankind. But what drives this violent evangelical group? Man, this is propaganda, guys. We don't know if any of this is true, but they want you to hate, to be afraid to join a church. What is the Church of the Almighty God? Its most radical cult is relatively new, founded just over 2 decades ago by Zhao Weishan, a former physics teacher who had since fled to the U.S. The group describes the ruling Communist Party as a red dragon that needs to be slain, and all members are told they should be ready to sacrifice their lives at any moment. They're Christians. Who knows if they even did that thing in McDonald's? We have no idea if that happened. That's a Christian end of days theology. Wow. The Communist Party is a cancer. That's the virus. Like, that is the... Now, and let me be clear. Christ believed in communal living. So did the Essenes. Communism is not communal. Okay? It's a totally different thing. So I just want to be clear about that, too. If they start trying to say that, because I said that to a loved one the other day, and they, like, had stars in their eyes, and they like to steal things that I say, and then they are things the enemy says. Okay, don't let words be twisted, because they can be. Let's not do that, all right? Communal living is not the same as forced communistic living. They are two entirely different things. God, especially Christ, believed in individual freedom. Okay? The evangelical sect has some grounding in Christianity, but believe that Jesus has risen, as a 40-year-old Chinese woman called Yan Zhangbin, coincidentally the wife of its founder, who has returned to Earth to bring about the apocalypse. Why are so many of us feeling like it's the end of days, though? I mean, and they'll tell you people have been saying that since the beginning. We don't know that. I know that since I've been alive, things have gotten like this is more than inflation. This is more than prices going up. This is more than me not understanding the next generation or thinking they dress too sexy, which they do. But so did I to my previous generation. So, like, it's not about culture in that way. Though culture is intrinsically intertwined with the Bible, and that's why so many people are attacking it now, is because they want our cultures torn down. So when you're reading things like this, please be very, very careful not to accept and receive and believe every darn thing, all right? Official estimates vary, but the cult could have as many as 1 million followers. One former member told the Daily Telegraph that the teachings are simple. They just want you to repeat over and over that you obey God, listen to her, and not fight back. And there are threats for those who think of quitting. Oy. Its members have been accused of shocking endings and mutilations of people who have refused to convert. That sounds really familiar, though. Like we've heard this over and over and over again. And it's inside of every religion. How do they recruit people? And that's what happens when you politicize religion. Just like Joan of Arc. She was useful until she wasn't anymore, and the church itself ended her. So we have to understand, politics are what ruined the practice of our faith, which is religion. Religion is the application and practicing the rituals of your faith. It's a symbolic gesture in the physical that represents your spiritual faith in the invisible, or at least invisible for right now. Members often target Christians, luring them in with the idea of a shared belief system and the added promise of a more direct route to salvation. They often approach housewives and the most vulnerable in society and have been accused of using aggressive conversion tactics, including intimidation, brainwashing, kidnapping, and even seduction. How is the government dealing with them? The public outcry over the murder forced the state to take action with numerous raids and up to 1,000 arrests since the incident. How does China deal with religion in general? Will they be honest? China has a long, dark history of government crackdowns on religion. Even today, high-level government interference in religion continues with strict guidelines of what is acceptable, according to the BBC's Carrie Gracie. State-sponsored versions of each religion have forced millions to set up underground house churches where they can practice their beliefs. These unsanctioned churches are often raided by police and their organizers are arrested, something the Church of the Almighty God has used to their advantage in garnering support against the state. That's actually an ingenious conversion and recruitment tactic. And I think that's why the Masons, and it appears that Muslims do that as well. And even Christians, though. I've seen Christians convert. People seem to need God while they're in prison. But if you wanted to convert a lot of people at one time because you wanted a stronger, quote-unquote, army per se, that'd be a really good way to do it. Funny how a lot of our relatives change once they come out of jail, too, and out of the military. Not always for the better, because they get deeper involved in these little handshake clubs of theirs. All right, so that's another headline with the word demon. There's another one. Wow, I can't keep up, guys. Like, do you see? Like, it's not me. I'm not making this up. It's not something I'm trying to serve up to you that's like a deception that I'm trying to, delude you with. Man convicted of manslaughter after seeing demon in his father's eyes and drowning him in 2021. A young man was convinced of involuntary manslaughter on Thursday for an exorcism, killing his own father in 2021 in Duxbury. Is that England as well? Jack Callahan, now, how old? 22. There's that number again. Was found guilty of one count of involuntary manslaughter after an 8-day trial in Plymouth. According to blah, 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 he will be sentenced on May 3rd. On June 28th, 2021, around 2 a.m., police received a call that Callahan, who was 19 years old at the time, was acting erratically, and his father, 57, was missing in the area of Island Creek Pond at Crocker Park. Investigators say the duo had taken a rideshare vehicle home from Boston, which again, Boston is what? I thought this was England. Boston, earlier in the night, and the car dropped them off near Island Creek Pond, where the two began fighting. When was this? I wonder if it was around the Satanic Convention that happens in Boston every year. That would be a coincidence, wouldn't it? He believed he was baptizing his father. He described he was holding his father in the pond on his back and continually dunked his father's head in the water about 4 to 8 times. This is how, this is what happens when people become desperate and they think they have to rely on themselves because nobody believes what they say. How can we have so many insane people having the same delusion? You know what that definition is? Truth. It's not a delusion. That word shouldn't be used. They're seeing truth. If you have that many people seeing it and saying that it's happening, at a certain point, and again, this is not, when I say things that trend are bad for you and you should run the other way, I'm talking about like celebrities, hairstyles, clothing styles, drinking, things that will lead you into darkness, right? But when you hear people talking about these fringe topics very openly and just like they're not afraid to say, hey, this is what's going on. You tell me, guys, are we all having the same delusion here? Is it the same shared delusion millions of us are having? Because soon there's going to be too many of us noticing something's wrong. They're not going to be able to lock us up. It just won't be able to happen. Because everybody is catching on and because the butterfly effect is real. And that's why they don't want us gathering, because they know how these concepts and ideas can spread. Should communism spread? No, I'm very anti-communism. We are seeing things in the spirit that are there, and we are having the same shared vision, and that is called seeing truth. Now, again, do I promote violence of any kind? Absolutely not. Christ did not do these things to deliver people. This is not what was done. I think we all need to stop. If you suspect something is wrong with one of your relatives or loved ones like this, and they won't listen, you need to encourage them to stop any and all bad habits they might have. Drinking, drugging, any substances like that. Do not come at them from a religious angle. Come at them from a health angle. They may listen to you, because the less you sin against your own body, the more you're able to see then. So if you can get them to stop with the bad behaviors and not approach it from a faith-based religious standpoint or spiritual, whatever word you're comfortable with, then they may listen to you, and they may stop the things that are getting them demonized. I've tried to explain all these things in so many different ways for a long time now. I'm not frustrated with you per se, but I don't understand people anymore. I don't understand going to work in all these group chats. That's not work to me. It's not professional to approach people that way and say, hey, you suck, man. You did this wrong. Like, gee, thanks. I honestly don't understand any of it. I don't understand why we can't be nicer to each other. I don't understand why so many people have murder in their eyes and hearts. And you see it. Like, again, the less things you do, the more you see it in people's eyes. Like, it is there. And I catch people looking at me like that all the time. What's stopping them from doing it? The law. They don't want to be locked up. That's pretty much the only thing stopping these people. So if all these laws, if we go totally lawless, openly and overtly, because right now it's still covert, I can't tell you what to do. I can only try and tell you what has harmed my life and family in the past, and encourage you to not do that. And encourage you that if somebody's reaching out for help, listen to them. Don't be that person that turns them away, because God just might decide to turn your conscience back on after you've done the unthinkable, and then it's too late to change your mind. I didn't care so much that my family was wanting to end me, and I still believe that. Like, nobody is going to change my mind on that. The things that happened to me weren't a coincidence. There was actual literal tape on the door, like choreography, so people would know where to hit me, and on my floor. Like, so it was totally choreographed. They wanted me ended. I don't care so much about that happening to me. I don't want that on my family's conscience, because I know what happens when God wakes you up after it's too late, because I am living that. And then you have to deal with these consequences and these things that you thought didn't exist and didn't matter. And that cross is much heavier to carry than the one you have right now, when things are just feel like they're not normal, they're not right. Maybe you guys are getting a little distant with each other and you don't understand each other. Even if you're a family that doesn't live under the same roof anymore, try to reconcile with your loved ones. Now, in some cases, that's not possible for a variety of reasons. But at least come to some reconciliation in your own heart. Maybe write them a letter. Go to confession. It's good for the soul, even if you're not Catholic. It's good for you. You can talk to, and what I like to say is, go into a confessional. That's my therapy, man, and I don't have to pay for that. I'm not paying $100 an hour to go talk to a priest and unburden myself for 10 minutes. And they don't mind. That's what they do. That's what they signed up for. So if your friend don't want to listen to you and you can't afford a therapist, go talk to a priest. You'll feel better, and they don't want you in there forever dwelling on your problems. They let you know that you're forgiven. Go in peace and go do better than you did before. Because there are too many incidents like this, guys. This guy thought he needed to baptize the demons out of his father to the point that he ended him. Wow. I don't even know what to... Okay. I guess we'll click on it. Maybe this will be the last one. I didn't know this was going to be such a rife search. Like, I didn't know there would be so much with this, guys. Murder suspect tells court, we share the planet with angels and demons. Oh my God, here we go. We sure do. This might be the last one because I just... It is kind of overwhelming. And I'm smiling as I'm saying this because I've gotten to the point where if I don't smile and I don't, like, take the moments of joy that I have, and that's another thing. If you get so depressed by this stuff, you can go into demonic territory then as well. They can attach to you then. And it's very easy right now. So again, I'm trying to equip you with some tools. And you're going to say, all you've done is talk. What tools? To bring you to an understanding. To give you options. To tell you to create your own third option. To tell you that things aren't as dark as you think they are. There's always hope. To pray, to fast, to repent, and things will get better. I promise you. And I don't make promises that I cannot keep. And I wouldn't be keeping that promise. It would be natural law. God Almighty, the Most High God, the Grand Architect, whatever you yourself want to call it. I don't personally care. Murder suspect tells court we share the planet with angels and demons. Diet. Die is in the word diet. You should never diet. You should just have a healthy lifestyle. Why is that T on there, though? Why do they like to put T's, which are crosses, on the end of words where we know they shouldn't be? It's not a planet. It's a plane. It's not a planet. Okay? It's just not. It's round. And I think it's globular if you include the firmament that's above and below the water. So if you want to look at it that way, we're inside the earth because we're inside a plastic ball. But the land itself is flat. Just my opinion. We don't have to argue over it. I'm not going to argue with you over it, but I just wonder, why do they keep putting these crosses at the end of these words? You get die, you get diet, right? Because most people, like, you can end up hurting yourself if you're not careful. And is that putting a curse on you if you say, I'm on a diet? We got to be very careful. Murder suspect tells court that we share this planet with them. Albetta admitted ending burns while the two worked an overnight... What is with McDonald's, man? What's going on with McDonald's? Wasn't the last link in McDonald's in China? Okay, here we go. The two worked an overnight shift at McDonald's restaurant in Sunder, suggesting demons were behind the act. Oh my gosh, help me. Again, it's not good to blame the devil or demons on all our bad behavior and bad choices. And actually, Exorcism 101, the first way to get rid of a demon is to take accountability. That's why they don't want people taking accountability. They want you. That is the first step. Take accountability. I made the choice that got me attached to alcohol, which got spirits attached to me that were not holy, right? I made those choices. They made really bad decisions for me when I was drunk and would black out and didn't know what I did. That's bad. I made the choice to drink. Okay? It got me into that mess. Here's another little hint. If you go into a confessional, ask the priest right there, can you please give me a baptismal blessing? The short one. It's the same as an exorcism. Plus, you're doing confession. That right there will get rid of most attachments you have. Unburdening yourself. That's why they hate it so bad. That's why they want the seal broken on the confessional. And I'm starting to wonder if all these seals that we're talking about are part of the sacraments. Because we call the confessional a seal in Catholic Church. That's what it's called. More and more I find out about this doctrine that I forgot about. And more I know the original church was Catholic. Now, today they're much too opulent. Churches have a lot to answer for today. The world is populated with angels, spirits, and demons, the latter of which are responsible for human conflict. I would actually agree with that to a point. We allow them to interfere in our relationships, and this is what happens. Sunder murder suspect Solomon Albetta testified, and Albetta told defense lawyer, wow, these names, guys, lawyer Powell, oh boy, Milzarek, that while he admits, oh my gosh, you see what it says right there, blanking the neck of his co-worker Joshua Burns, it was demons who were responsible for his actions. Now I feel like we're being trolled. Milzarek wants Justice Glenn Pullman to find Albetta was not criminally responsible by reason of a mental disorder. Wow. Do you believe in angel spirits and demons? Milzarek asked the confessed killer. Yes, Albetta said. I believe we live in the same world. The accused said demons can whisper to people and cause human strife. It's true. It's even been in cartoons. And I'm not saying things on the screen are automatically true. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying these ideas and concepts that human beings have to write stories come from somewhere. Some distant memory of our ancestor, right? Something actually in the blood tells you to be afraid of the dark, right? It's a primal fear. We know subconsciously that there are other voices whispering to us that are not of our own, and they are not of an almighty God. Whenever there's tension, whenever there's stress, there's a demon behind it. Eventually, we're going to have a problem. That problem is human flaw. Angels create good feelings, which can combat demons, he told the court. When they send that good feeling, a demon just flies away. He admitting to ending Burns while the two worked overnight in Calgary. Do you see all the words? It happened at Calgary, a place named Calgary, or north of Calgary, suggesting demons were behind the act. He acknowledges that he ended somebody, and he believes that happened. He was going through some struggles. There was good and bad energy. He said the demons had tried to convince him to end himself, and when he successfully resisted, they turned to those around him. Didn't I just say that? And wow, okay. They tried to eliminate me by making me end myself, which that is true. If you're hearing things like that, that they couldn't get me directly, so now they need to turn my coworkers. The only place they can get to me is through work. That's actually true too. He suggested Burns' young age made him an easy target. The best that they can do is through children, kids. Unfortunately, they got Josh. That's what happened, and I see it in the eyes of Josh. Josh Burns was attacked and ended inside McDonald's. I don't know, is this the one that was ended or the one who was ending people? He was insulting me and he was thinking he's better than me because he is white. Pinjator said of a follow-up text. Oh, wow. So you can get a psychiatric assessment, which of course you're going to have. Not well enough to provide evidence in the trial, and it's not clear when he will be healthy enough to testify. So you see we got bits of truth. But again, Christ never ended anyone. So let's just see if there's anything else coming up real quick here. Do this quick little search. One more page, page 4. So we had almost 3 pages. Jamel Demons, whose stage name is Melly. So that's his actual name. What is, wow. Wow, okay. And he's from Florida? Because of course he is. Florida's so weird, guys. I'm sorry if that's where you live. I thought it was strange there. When I went, it was very weird. Oh, jeez. All right. Last one, because it's the last one on the page. And then we'll do a quick search in YouTube. Again, this is just to show you that the word is trending. Long Island architect has been charged. Oh, okay. They charged somebody, so that's actually good, hopefully. From a pizza he ate. DNA from a pizza. I don't believe that, man. That's why I won't do a DNA test. I feel like they just put up anybody they want. I don't know, man. Because that's the thing. They seem to want... There are already surveillance cameras everywhere. And yet people go missing. And people are ended all the time. And what is the deal with nobody smiling in their pictures? I told you how that was a thing with that guy who taught my husband how to do tattoos. I told you. I called him Diablo, too. Because that's how he made me feel. And he told me he was a fallen one. Told you all these stories. Why do they do that? What bothers them about the mouth and the teeth? I don't understand that part. Honestly, I just don't. I don't get it. Even Kanye now. He used to have a really nice smile, and he's got all that junk in his mouth now. I just don't know what that dude's doing. I feel bad. Like, he led people to Christ, and then, like, now he's making Christ look bad, and so, I don't know. We do all have to be better reps for Christ, and again, that's something we've talked about for years now, and I'm so glad that bigger channels with bigger platforms are using those exact words and saying, we need to hold up, slow down. We need to be better representatives in how we're walking this out, because this is why people are standoffish of Christians and Muslims and Buddhists or whatever it may be. All right, so let's do a quick filter. Three hours ago, somebody uploaded that. Wow, it's an 11-year-old song. What is up? Oh my goodness. You can read that. I don't have to show you. I actually agree with that. They hate God. They are demonic. Not the people, the spirit behind the agenda. The dark reason why the demons ask for pigs. I'm going to have to watch that. Because I have a few different theories on that. 13 hours ago. Now, you'll find Demon Slayer is a thing in anime. It's used a lot. Pokemon are actually pocket monsters. I never knew that. I mean, I'm not afraid of monsters. I don't think my kids should be. But for some reason, they say that they're satanic. Secret societies are keeping tabs on you. That's true. That's actually true. There's another one. So you see it's prevalent, right? Like you see that it's prevalent. And I want to look at one more thing real quick before I let y'all go. When a society starts doing this, mothers especially, there's something wrong. (2023, 2024). Killing your teen. There, 2023, we all are pretty familiar with this gal. That was pretty recent. Lori Vallow. I actually don't know what to think about that. Because again, I feel like some of this is persecution. Persecution, prosecution, same thing. Trial begins for attempted to... Oh, Jesus. You see the headline there. I don't have to read it. Something is happening. All right, let's look up one more thing. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. Yikes, not that. Is it actually a movie now? Could a child be born demon-possessed 7 months ago? So you see it is in the public vernacular now. So one of the other things that is kind of dark, but we're going to look into it because it plays into a lot of the stuff we were looking into with Slender Man and video cameras and why they have insisted everybody go from physical tapes, magnetic tapes, mind you, to digital. And I've had some theories on that. We've talked about it a little bit. Yikes, okay. Oh my gosh, I have a t-shirt. Do you see it's kind of like everywhere? Everywhere. It's just in the public consciousness.
But yeah, we're going to look into, and I'll do a quick search just so you can see. I'm not going to say the word. A lot of people do, though, cover these topics. So this is the most famous case of this happening. Now, again, they try to go back and say, we know, though, that TV personalities, and we know that the words they use, we know a lot of it is illusory by nature, which classifies it under witchcraft, because it's an illusion, it's a deception. I also believe there's something more to this story and something more to why they are compelled to do this on camera. I'm not sure what the reason is, but I know there's a reason, and it's a spiritual thing. Now, I don't know. I think there once might have been a way, like Ghostbusters, and this can sound really woo-woo, a way to trap certain things on the magnetic film. Like, you didn't have to worry about that quote-unquote idea or spirit of the movie escaping into reality, right? But since we've went digital, and since we went with SIM cards, especially in the phones, things have really 5G, like all of these things have accumulated to making reality very strange at this point. And I do believe it's part of an intentional social experiment, but I believe they are getting unintentional and unanticipated results. And again, whenever you try to play God and you're not God, you're going to bring about some negative things to happen. But anyways, we're going to look into that topic as well. I will try to upload a couple of regular uploads. I've had a few thoughts that I just couldn't get to. I'm trying to get my body used to working again. Please pray for me. I pray for you guys all the time. If you could include me and my family and my furry pets in your prayers, that would be such a blessing at this point, because I really don't have any family left that would do that, even if they were still here. There's just no praying people in my circle left. So if you could do that for us, that'd be awesome. If you ever have any special prayer requests, or you want to share a testimony, or you have a dream or an experience that you think would benefit other people, by all means, share it. My email should be listed somewhere. It's like artistlady03@gmail.com. A lot of emails I don't open at all. Some I let marinate and I think about before replying. So just know that, right? And know that if you're somebody trying to like get at me and you're just an enemy wanting to be nefarious, most of you, I already know who you are. So it's really not that serious. I love you guys. Go out there and have a great day, and we'll talk again soon.